Zikov. I'm the Field School Director for the American Center for Mongolian Studies, Mongolia Field School 2020. Today we're going to have an overall webinar, and people will be able to directly live ask questions. You can use the chat area that's available in your Blue Jeans area on the discussion board, or you can ask questions. You can send questions after the show. So this will be recorded and made available through our website as we did with the December presentation as well. We're going to cover some of the same information and offer some updated information. And a few of the instructors who weren't able to meet with us in December are able to join us this evening for this presentation. So I am going to go to PowerPoint and share my screen. Okay. Now, are people able to see the slides? Just give me a verbal yes.
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 Okay.
Yes.
So overall, about the American Center for Mongolian Studies, the ACMS has been in Mongolia since 2004 with our full-time research office and library. Tricia Turbold is currently our resident director, and then we have our excellent Mongolian staff who are joining us this evening as well, and will be helping with the field school and providing support. So we run a variety of different academic programs. We've hosted quite a few different visiting groups from universities, groups of visiting teachers, and then every summer we sponsor research fellowships. If you're interested in research fellowships, you can see on our website more about those to do research work in Mongolia. And we run a language school and do a whole variety of different programs. If you're visiting Mongolia or interested in doing research or any academic work in Mongolia, please connect with the American Center for Mongolian Studies. And at the end, we will post some information about connecting with us as well. We produce a publication called This Month in Mongolian Studies, which is a list of different events, activities, current resources, new books, and different things going on related to Mongolian studies. So we'd be happy to put you on the mailing list for that we send out each month. So last year, we held our first annual Mongolia Field School sponsored by the ACMS. We had more than 60 participants join us in Mongolia last summer. We had 3 courses that we ran. All the courses, as we're going to do this summer, started in Ulaanbaatar. And then we had an orientation where we had some speakers giving some overall things on Mongolian culture, Mongolian history, religion, other important topics. And then the courses moved to their field studies component, where for a couple of weeks, each of the courses moved off-site and moved into the countryside in Mongolia, visited the second cities such as Darhan and Erdenet, and then also stayed in some rural areas in Mongolia. So as you'll hear later, we're going to go through each of the courses and with the instructors. Each of the courses has a unique itinerary and locations that they'll be visiting in northern Mongolia, central Mongolia, or down in the Gobi in the south. And so this is a core part of each course. So, but then the courses will all come back and we'll have a final sort of conference day at the end of the program in Ulaanbaatar, where you'll get to hear from the participants about what they saw, what they experienced in their course out in the countryside in the different areas. Each course, last year we had about 20 participants, including 10 international participants and 10 Mongolian participants. And this is one of the things that makes this field school different than many of the study abroad opportunities, for example, for international students, in that you often go together with a group of people from your home university or your home country, and then travel and have a study tour and maybe meet some local people, but you're rarely studying side by side. So in our field school last year, we had an equal number of Mongolian participants and international participants, and they studied and learned and worked together and did the site visits, and it created a much richer environment for sharing and co-participation in the program. So that's something that I think really makes this program unique and provides an exciting opportunity for people who participate. The program, as we'll say later, is open to everyone. It's open to anyone 18 and over in terms of you can be a university student, you can be out of school, you can be a teacher, you can be someone just interested in travel and learning. So it creates an opportunity for a wide variety of people to come together. And we had participants last year from 18 to 78 who participated in the program. So we're open to lifelong learners who are interested in learning about Mongolia. So each course had a maximum of 20 people. Last year, as I said, we had about 10 international and 10 Mongolian participants in each course. You do not need to have had previous experience in Mongolia. You don't have to have visited. You don't have to be an expert or speak Mongolian. And you don't have to be an expert in field studies. We will lead you. We've led a lot of groups and worked with people in the past in terms of helping you understand Mongolian culture, helping you learn field research techniques, and then getting out and meeting, interviewing people, meeting with people in the field, hearing their stories. That will occur in the courses. The courses all start and end in Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia, and you're responsible then, the participants, in terms of getting yourself to Ulaanbaatar to participate in the program. During the time that you're in the program, your tuition that you pay for the program will cover all of the costs associated, almost all. You may have some incidentals, some things that you want to buy yourself, some snacks, a couple of meals that you may want, something like that. But we basically will provide a place for you to stay, your accommodations during the program, your transportation. So when we go to the field, we will be arranging the accommodations. We will be arranging the transportation for the group to go there. We will have your instructors. We will have translators and support people who will be traveling with each of the groups. So that means, your tuition covers, it's basically like the package of the tour and academic portion of the program during the term of the course. Many of the people last year who came internationally, who came into Ulaanbaatar, wanted to travel. They came a week before, or they stayed a week after the program so that they could travel. And that would be on your own. We can help arrange that. We can help arrange the accommodations, or you'll be able to connect. Many of the people, we had different chat groups, and you were able to connect with other people in the program, and people co-organized some field visits, some travel around Mongolia. So you will be able to do that as well. But during the core part of the program, you'll be traveling together as a group with your class. So we have a number of different field sessions, and the pictures we're showing are from last year. That's one of the classes on site on the Egg River in northern Mongolia last summer. This year we're going to have 7 different classes. One is a shorter class, a 5-day, what we call pre-course, or a short course, visual storytelling, that will be primarily held in Ulaanbaatar. And you'll hear about that from Peter Bittner, the course leader. Then we have our first session, which is scheduled to occur before the Naadam holidays in Mongolia, so starting in mid-June and running till July 3rd. That's a 3-week session, basically running from a Monday until a Friday. We have 2 courses that will occur during that session: the word and sound in Mongolian culture on the music and literature of Mongolia, and then climate change and herding in 3 Mongolian ecozones. So this is going out and meeting with herders and Mongolian people in the countryside and seeing the different areas of Mongolia and how climate change and the grasslands have been changing because of that. Then the second session, so Mongolia has its Naadam holidays. You may want to stay if you came to the first session. You may want to stay after for the second session, or come a little bit early for the holidays and stay for the second session. The second session will be from the last week of July until the middle of August. And there we have 4 different course options, including one on public health and climate change, another one on Mongolian Buddhism and conservation, another on the Gobi and the rapid development of mining and the cities in the Gobi, and then finally one on the environment, humans, and mining in a northern Mongolia area. So you'll be visiting some mining sites and talking with local people about the impacts and changes that are occurring because of mining. So all of the instructors will be presenting information about their courses in just a minute. Some overall things, as they say, we'll start in Ulaanbaatar. We'll organize people to stay in hostels together in Ulaanbaatar, and then we'll have our courses in a classroom that we have designated. And we'll have some overview lectures that will be the whole group, and then also you'll be meeting with your class group and starting some of your lectures in Ulaanbaatar. You'll then go for about 2 weeks out to the countryside. Again, these are pictures from the countryside visit last summer, where you'll take these small vans, furgon or the Delica vans, similar to that. You'll go in groups of those with your class to the countryside and stay in these, what we say, ger camps, these tent camps that are set up in the countryside in Mongolia for tourists. And so you sleep there, and then you'll be able to eat in a dining tent that are set up there as well. So the meals will be provided, and you'll stay in these traditional Mongolian tents. During that time, you'll be a mix of field visits, for example, meeting with local officials, local herding families, visiting herding families. You see a picture here of the group last year visiting one of the gers and one of the herding families in the countryside. You'll get to ride horses, to do some tourist activities as well. We have the Prevalovsky's horse, the native horses in Mongolia. We have the riding the traditional horses. You'll see the livelihoods, the sheep, the people living in the countryside. And we also will be visiting some of the smaller cities. So Ulaanbaatar, as you see, is just in the center of the country. A couple of the programs are going to the north. A few are going out a bit to the west into central Mongolia. And then there's 2 down to the Gobi in the south. In terms of tuition, $2,900 US is the full tuition amount. That includes, as I say, during the course of the program, that includes your meals, your housing, transportation, the teaching, the translation, all of the aspects of the course. Mongolian participants have a different tuition schedule as well, so you can check on our website and check with our office on that. Scholarships of up to $2,500 are available for international participants, and those are based upon merit and need and the diversity of the group. These are supported by the Henry Luce Foundation and other supporters. And so to apply for those, in your application by March 1st, we will be starting to allocate the fellowships and allocating all of the fellowship money for those people who have applied by March 1st. So we encourage you to apply by this priority deadline. We've been trying to give kind of rolling admissions, let you know for sure that you're admitted, accepted to the program, some preliminary information on fellowships. But then after about mid-February, we're going to wait, get all of the applications in so that we can allocate our final fellowship funds after the March 1st deadline. So by mid-March, we should be able to let you know the full information about your acceptance and the fellowships available for international participants. Now, that's not the final deadline. People can continue to apply to the program up till April 30th, which is our final deadline. And so we do encourage you. Something that happened last year is a number of people applied to the program. We're able to get partial fellowships. I will say most people, it's not that everyone is going to get a $2,500 fellowship. Many people will get $1,000, $1,500 fellowships so that we can make sure that we have a good, strong group of people and diverse group of people. And then you're able to go and look for other sources of funding from your parents, from your school, from other organizations, from crowdsourcing. Other things is what people did last year, and many people were able to raise the additional money they needed to participate in the program from other sources. So our fellowships will be a start. When we will ask you, then you can look for other fellowships if that's important for you as well. In terms of some people who are students are often looking for academic credits. What worked out last year, where all the people leading the program are academics. These will be taught as academic courses. We will have syllabuses available for the courses in terms of the learning outcomes, the activities in the course, and you'll have the opportunity to then go to your home institutions to work out academic credit. We can work with you on that as well in terms of if there needs to be an assignment or other activities. Last year, most people were able to work directly with their home institution and find a way to get credit. And people were receiving 3 credits, that's in the North American system, 6 credits, 1 or 2 course credit for their participation in the program. So if you have a question about academic credit or want to work with us on academic credits, just let us know. So we'll help you out to do that. On the website, there's very detailed information on the application and what you need. Everyone, we're asked to present a statement of interest and sort of your experience in remote areas. That's just partly a reminder that we will be going to remote areas in Mongolia. It's not that it's so rough. You'll be staying always, for example, in a ger camp, in a camp where the meals will be served. However, we will be off the grid. You won't always have internet. So, you do need to be prepared for travel in more remote areas, both mentally and physically in terms of that. We ask for your CV and personal details. If you're a student, we ask for a letter of recommendation from a faculty member at your school. And then if you're applying for a fellowship and you want a fellowship, these are open to everyone, whether you're a student or an adult. We had a number of teachers and others last year who gave very strong reasons why they should apply and be accepted for a fellowship, and they were able to get partial financial support through fellowships for that. What we would ask is that you provide a statement about the importance of the program for you and your career, academically, personally, and some information on financial need, and making essentially a case when we're looking at different applicants and deciding how to allocate our limited funds. Then we're open to considering your situation and looking at how we can try to help you. We want to help as many people as possible. We just have, in the end, a limited amount of funds in order to give out as fellowships. Mongolian applicants follow a similar process, slightly different just in terms of the information required, and there's a link especially for Mongolian applicants on the page. We do have fellowships available for Mongolian applicants as well, so please follow those instructions. And if you have any questions, you can ask our staff in Ulaanbaatar office about your situation. Now, just a slide, because all of us are watching on the news about the Wuhan coronavirus and wondering about safety and health in Mongolia. So I will say overall, we have a strong safety, health, and risk management plan for the program. We've done some training in wilderness medicine. We have a safety plan. We'll have a safety plan for each of the courses where we understand what medical facilities are available, what we're going to do in different situations to manage that. If that's something that your university or organization or your family requires, let us know and we can share more information with you. If you have a special concern or situation, my son has severe food allergies. If you have food allergies or medical conditions that we need to be aware of, just please let us know and we can try to address that within the program. All international participants are required to have a travel insurance plan. Mongolian participants will be covered by their national health coverage. In terms of coronavirus, Mongolia has no reported cases of the coronavirus. I'm going to ask Tricia to come in and speak on this. Flights to and from Mongolia and China have been suspended, at least through the Mongolian holidays until early March. They are currently expected to be resumed later in the spring. There are other ways, though, you can fly to Mongolia through Seoul, through Japan or Europe, and not have to go through China. But currently, there are no travel restrictions or advisories for Mongolia related to the coronavirus. Tricia, did you want to say more?
Hi, let me unmute real quick. Yeah, I think Charles, hi everyone, I'm Tricia. As Charles mentioned, I'm the resident director for ACMS here in Mongolia. As Charles mentioned, there are no currently no reported cases in Mongolia. If you're watching the news, there were several students, Mongolian students in Wuhan who were brought back, all tested negative. The government here is taking a lot of actions to be prepared, and they're very cautious. And we're getting updates from the WHO and the Mongolian Ministry of Health. So we're monitoring the situation very closely. Some of the actions that have been taken right now, all schools, universities, public events, children's indoor play spaces, things like that have been closed until March 2nd in an effort to prevent any spread if it is in fact in Mongolia. So I think that, we're hoping that this doesn't impact our program this summer. I think that, for example, we have a group coming from the University of Pennsylvania next month. Their trip is still going forward. As Charles mentioned, I think the main concern isn't with the virus being in Mongolia, which it's just with how it may impact travel. So currently there is no flights in between China and Mongolia. The border is closed. That's until March 2nd. So like I said, we'll just monitor the situation closely and keep you all updated on travel advisories. I should also mention that the U.S. Department of State currently doesn't have any travel advisories for Mongolia. It's at a level 1, which is the lowest level. So hopefully it doesn't keep anyone away, and we'll keep you updated.
Thank you, Tricia. So I believe we have a couple of people who are joining us now. And Tricia, I don't know if you want to introduce the participants from last year who can speak to their experience in the field school last year.
Sure. So I will actually start by inviting Janice, if you don't mind. Janice is a school teacher in Connecticut, and she had a particularly, I'd say, positive experience last year with the field school, and she is one participant who actually successfully secured additional funding. So she can maybe talk about that, talk about her experience, and then how the field school has impacted her experience now as a teacher. So Janice, are you there?
I am there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is my mic on? Excellent.
Yes,
okay. So yeah, I'm Janice, and I'm actually a teacher in the Chicago area, not in Connecticut. And I did go last year to on the trip, and I have been to a lot of educational programs. So I'm pretty familiar with how they're run, and this was incredibly well organized and flexible. So I just start out by saying that I was absolutely astonished for a first year of a program at how people knew where we had to go. They knew what we were doing. They dealt with participants really well and very sensitively. And when things came up, everybody felt safe. Everybody felt that things were going to be worked out and that they didn't have to be concerned. And that's huge because you're far away from home. You may not have phone access. You want to know that the people you're traveling with have things together. So kudos to the group. It was amazing. But the other thing I found as a teacher was that it was also incredibly intelligent and productive. The courses were thoughtful. It involved foreign and local people, so you weren't kind of in a closed up room with a bunch of other foreigners who just happened to be dropped in another country. You were talking about issues with people who live in that country. And that's a very different experience from most educational programs abroad, where most of the people you're speaking to are people just like you from your own country, and you're still addressing issues as outsiders. I learned as much from the local Mongolian participants as I did from the instructors, as wonderful as the instructors were. And I think that was a key part of the program for me. And let's see, and it was really productive. So I came out of the program having developed a website for kids about Mongolia. The instructors were really helpful in putting material together. The other participants critiqued each other's work and listened to it. So we were able to take information, learn from local people, from field experiences, from instructors, discuss it with a very diverse group of people, and develop our projects and have them critiqued by these really sharp, interesting folks. So you can tell I'm a booster. I had a wonderful, wonderful experience, and it's influenced my teaching every day this year. There's rarely a week that goes by without some comparison or another coming in, and it helps make my students into global citizens, understanding their relationship with the world. I know that Tricia mentioned funding. I'm a teacher, so I'm not a rich person, and spending money for summers is really not in my budget. But I was able to apply to, in my case, to a local organization for digital education, which isn't what you would first think of. And that's why I wanted to bring it up. Don't stick to the obvious for funding. Think about the implications of your studies, about who you're going to bring the information to and under what circumstances, and what organizations might be interested. So the Illinois digital educators helped fund the trip for me. I developed the website. I'm actually in 2 weeks going to present at one of their conferences. And so the material that I learned will get to fellow educators, and computing professionals isn't necessarily the first place I would have thought to look. As a teacher, I did also get tuition reimbursement from my district for the part of the tuition that was not covered. So if any of the people here are teachers, my district did consider it professional development that was eligible for tuition reimbursement. So I was able to cobble together the complete cost. So that is a possibility. Don't dismiss it. There are a lot of people who are going to be interested in sharing what you learned. So let's see, what else? I think those were the big things I wanted to say, just that I really have enriched everything I've done since I came. I can't encourage you enough to explore this and go.
Great. Thank you so much, Janice, for joining us again. This is Janice's second second time joining us on our webinar. So we wanted to also bring in one of our past Mongolian participants to share his perspective. So we have Mungtoga. He's a student at the National University of Mongolia studying international relationship, and last year he participated in our renewable energy course. So are you there, Mungtoga? Oh. I think you're muted, Mungtoga. I'm not sure if you're trying to talk right now.
Yeah, he looks visible on the
Yeah,
camera,
I see
but
Mungtoga.
yeah.
Okay, well, Gantoga, not to put you on the spot, but you also you also participated last year, and you're an instructor this year. So, would you mind maybe saying a couple of words about your experience?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
So,
it was a
thank
great
you.
experience for me. Yeah, I had I had like a few outdoor experiences before in Mongolia, and found out found about found out about this program last year, and then this would be something I was expecting something like good is going to happen, and I applied to energy course, which my main like major is environmental science, but if like I connect my environmental science major to the energy and like alternative energy sources or something, this would be something exciting to come out. And then I decided to apply and joined with North American participants and local participants, and visited places I have not been before, which is very beautiful. And the overall organization of the course was very well organized, and also it was very educational, and also at the same time it's not really serious, that don't teach you like for long hours to make you like bored or something. And it is perfect balance of like outdoor activities and also some learning activities together. And also, yeah, this is a great experience to experience Mongolia in a good way during the best sort of travel season of our country. Um, yeah, anything else I would say? Um, the future participants will be traveling at different places uh, depending on which course are you going to select. And well, the experience in the Gobi and also like central steppe region or northern like more forested region all would be different. And yeah, I think you guys will have a very good experience if you um, apply for and come to Mongolia to attend to this course. And yeah, that's my word. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Charles, I guess that's it for the testimonials.
Okay, so with Peter with us, we're going to go through now the different courses that are offered.
Hi there, Charles. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm really excited to chat about my class here. It is a 5-day pre-session, which is largely based in Ulaanbaatar. And first, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a freelance video journalist based in Mongolia, and I've been in and around Mongolia for a really few years. So I'm a graduate of UC Berkeley's Graduate School of and I'm currently back here in the Bay Area teaching a drone videography class at Current. I will be back in place to help organize and actively and will take us to a bunch of areas around the site. Going to be monasteries and learning camps. It'll be a really cool opportunity to get to know some of the peri-urban lifeways of this rapidly urbanizing context, and you will get a chance to hear their travels in Mongolia throughout the summer, whether that is for a field or for personal travel. So you'll have a lot of good chances to really brush up on your storytelling skills. It will be intense. There will be a lot of content and hands-on activities with these various types of media equipment. So we'll cover things from narrative writing, if you're going to blog about your experience, for example, how to do that in a way that is professional level, as well as how to create a photo story and both academic writing and narrative magazine style writing too. So anyway, I really hope you apply. I'm looking forward to meeting everyone and hope that you have any questions about the course in advance. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Peter. One note, because this is a shorter course and primarily in Ulaanbaatar, the tuition for this course is $1,000. We do have some very limited financial aid support for this course. which will primarily go to participants who participate in more than one course. So if you were going to apply for this course and then a course immediately following, we would consider that in our financial aid decisions. The question was posed and came up of if we are in more than one course, can we, how does the financial aid work? We will take that into consideration if you're applying for more than one course in our financial aid decisions. So you will not have to pay double the tuition necessarily for the two courses. The second, then we come to the session, the first main session. And so this session from June 15th to July 3rd, the first course that we'll highlight, there are two different courses that are offered during this June session. And the first one is Word and Sound in Mongolian Culture. And I know we have Simon Wickham-Smith, who's going to give us a brief overview of this course.
Hi. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Good. Right. Okay. So, yeah, well, thank you, Charles, and good evening, everyone. So, yeah, this course, if you look down the 6 courses that are offered, this is really the only one that concentrates primarily on cultural or artistic elements. And we're going to be looking at really the relationship between language and music in Mongolia. The music of poetry, the poetry of music, the poetry of folk song in particular, and themes of music and poetry such as landscape, nomadic life, the history of the Mongols. So a little bit about myself and my colleague. So Samin Yoon is a scholar and teacher of ethnomusicology. She teaches at the University of Delaware and has been researching this folk music tradition called Otindu, or long song, which some of you might have heard for the last 14 or 15 years. And I am based at Rutgers University in New Jersey. My PhD is on literature and nomadic culture. I've been studying and translating Mongolian literature for almost 20 years now. So we both have quite a lot of experience in music and in literature of Mongolia. And throughout the 19 days, we'll be moving from Ubi to Stenshamn in the Gobi, and looking there at the work of poets like Danzan Rabja, who is a very important 19th century monk poet, and also investigating the way in which Mongolians relate to the landscape through song. And we'll have the opportunity to meet herders and nomads, as well as people who are also more involved in poetry. And then from Stenshamn we move to the area just to the east of Ubi in Khenti and Tov. And then we go back to Ubi. And all the way through this journey we'll be meeting herders, we'll be meeting poets and singers, and getting a really good relationship between ourselves and these practitioners of music and poetry. And it was interesting listening to Peter's introduction to his course. He mentioned the rapid urbanization of Mongolia. Yes, it is rapidly urbanizing, but there are still opportunities not only to experience the city, but also the nomadic culture upon which Mongolian society is built and constructed. And our intention with this course is not necessarily so much to leave the city behind, but to investigate really how Mongolia, even today, is a combination of nomadic and urban. And so the singers and the writers that we'll be talking with and getting presentations from, most evenings we hope to have presentations of music or poetry. Not only do we want to think about the urbanized cities, but also the way in which the people in the countryside relate to the landscape and relate to nature and the animals that they herd. So really, to sum up, what people who come on this course will get is an introduction, a very maybe detailed and experiential introduction to the organic relationship that exists in Mongolian culture between word sound and the natural world, in a culture that is both very ancient but also very modern in many ways. So that's what I wanted to say, and so thank you for giving me the opportunity, Charles.
All right, thank you. And now go to our next class, which is on climate change and herding in 3 Mongolian ecozones, in convertible warning signs and local responses. And Annika? Okay, maybe they weren't able to join us. Annika and Batboyan. So this course, as I said, will be really focused on kind of a anthropological and grasslands study of the grassland areas in Mongolia and how climate change is affecting local herders in those areas, and how then the herders are reacting to the changes in climate, and then other factors including economic changes, social changes that are occurring. So they will visit several different areas in the central parts of Mongolia, so that you see in a more desert area, in a higher altitude area where they get more rainfall, how climate change is affecting these different grassland areas, and then how the local people are reacting to that and having to take it into consideration in their lifestyles and the moves that they make with their animals on the land, what types of animals that they have, and other aspects of the nomadic traditional lifestyles in Mongolia. So in this course, you'll have an excellent chance to meet local officials, herders, herding families, to do interviews with different herding families in different regions.
Hi, Charles. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Can I say a few more words?
Oh, yes. Now I can hear you. Yes. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what went wrong. But yes, you got it exactly. I want to say a few more things. I'm an anthropologist, and a few of us are, in fact. And these field schools are, I just want to give a pitch. They're unique, and they're really ideal in terms of the kind of education that I want to provide as an anthropologist. You've already mentioned the fact that the groups are international groups. For our course, we have applicants from Mongolia, the US, Hungary, and China so far. And they are really diverse also in what they're doing and what their background experiences and skills are. And all of that will enrich our study. We will be training our participants to carry out ethnographic interviews along the way. So as we're learning from herders about climate change, we're going to divide into groups. Each group will have a translator for those who don't know Mongolian. And you'll be practicing a particular interview style based largely on open-ended questions. It's going to be useful in a lot of other contexts as well, whether you want to go into anthropology or not. I think that in addition to the cultural information and the information on climate change, everyone is going to be able to practice some skills that will be useful to them. I'm so glad that we have not just one course on climate change, but a few. If it were me, and I might actually do this, I might go to the pre-session, lead my course in session 1, and then go to the session on climate change and public health. So my session with Botboyan, we're looking at how climate change is affecting herders, and it really, really is. I've done research. It's dramatic and an important topic to cover. And then there are other elements of climate change that one could look at as well. Also, I should mention, we won't be spending as much time in the Gobi or going as far south as some other groups. So that's another way someone might think of combining courses, is to take the course with me and Botboyan in session 1, and then explore the Gobi further through the Gobi specific course in session 2. That's just a couple of ideas. We do also, we have one applicant so far who is seeking college credit, actually graduate school credit. She's going to be writing a paper, and it might even, she's going to see if that could become a published article. So we will all have a chance to participate in this research that we do hope to get out to a broad audience in various ways. And other participants will be very welcome to think about how they would want to use our data that we collect in their own ways.
Okay, thank you very much. And yes, there's a good point about both the field research techniques and other skills that people will earn, and the willingness of instructors to work with applicants if you have specific projects. As we said last year, we had several teachers who worked on projects that they could then present to students. And, you know, we were all in it together, helping out, offering suggestions, providing materials, resources, photographs, videos, and different things to use there. So now, as I said, started the session 2. Now we have 4 courses in session 2, including the course Climate Change and Public Health, Heat, Fire, Flood, and Drought on the Steppe. So I will turn it over to Kathy.
Well, it's actually Sue.
Oh,
Can you
Sue,
hear?
sorry.
And
Yeah.
Kathy's here as well, and she's going to jump in too. My name's Sue Higgins. I'm from Montana. I work at the Center for American Indian and Rural Health Equity. And I was just really excited to hear Annika speak. I think we all feel as instructors that we'd like to take each other's courses. It's going to be just a great set of field courses. The course that Kathy Whitlock and I are teaching, and she's an earth scientist. She's the co-director of the Montana Institute on Ecosystems, and also was the lead on the assessment of climate change in Montana. And now together we are working with a team of people here in Montana on the impacts of climate change on human health, which is a big issue. And actually, for some, unfortunately, it's the only hook to get some people interested in climate change, which is really unfortunate. But it's really a growing field, and one that we want to talk about as we travel together in Mongolia. We have a really interesting team traveling with us. We just submitted a grant to bring on some other co-instructors. First of all, can you hear me okay, guys? Because the last time with some of the other speakers, it was a little garbled. Is everything coming in? Okay, good. We are bringing from Montana, if the funding comes through, and we think it will, 2 Native American climate adaptation specialists to come and help teach the course, to share information. One of them is Mike Durglow. He's a climate adaptation specialist with the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes, and also Dr. Rosalind Lapierre, who's an ethnobotanist at the University of Montana, and she's Blackfeet. They're going to join us, and when we get to Mongolia, we've also invited and have been interviewing just a great team of public health specialists, and it was so hard to choose these great people who applied, but Dr. Oyuna Lagbasuren, who's a medical doctor and a public health professional, will also be joining us on our trip, as well as a Mongolian climate scientist, and we're in the middle of identifying that person, and then Kathy and me. So we'll have really a team of 6 really co-instructors we're really developing a pretty rich curriculum as we travel together to share information on traditional ecological knowledge, health science, and climate science. Put all this together to tell a story as a team and share with students who come along their stories. I first want to tell you the people we've been talking to who are interested in this course are, it's a real diverse group, nurses, environmental scientists, public health professionals, just interested citizens who are very committed to what's going on with climate change and want to learn more and also want to see Mongolia. A couple people who are pretty serious writers are very interested in this course because they want to look at this global picture and share information broadly, and they want to write about this topic. Students, of course, and we'll see what kind of mix we get with the team that comes along. As Charles mentioned, we're going to all meet in UB, and for orientation, we'll meet with officials like folks from the Mongolian Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology and the Ministry of Health. And then eventually we will travel down to Karakoram, and we'll be in more of a semi-arid environment. And there we're going to talk about the impacts of heat and drought on health, and heat stroke, depression, the connections with mental health and suicide. Hopefully we can connect with Betsy Gaines' class, Betsy Common's class, if it works out time-wise. Her course is studying the connection between Buddhism and conservation, and we really want to talk about kind of some of the spiritual places we go when we talk about climate change. We'll visit Erdinzu Monastery, and hopefully the venerable Basansuren Kansuren, who's the Dalai Lama there, might be on site, which would be wonderful. We'll visit with him. And then Kathy and I are working to visit some set up some visits with clinics and some community members in that area. Then we will move on, take a 2-day trip and head north to Hovsgol province. We will go to Hatgal, or near Gare camp near there on Lake Hovsgol. And along the way, we hope to meet with herders. We'll visit with communities and talk about community-based participatory research, CBPR, which is very important to what we do here around health issues with Native communities, and we'll share that information. And then up north, we're really in a more alpine environment, and we'll talk about the impacts of flood and drought and wildfire on human health, how it impacts pulmonary disease, vector-borne disease, food security, and lots of things. So it's very broad. There's a lot of information to cover, but we want to make it fun, very interactive. We want each other to share their stories, and we'll come together to look at the outcomes we want to share as a team. When we get back to UB, we'll of course have a debrief, and we'll have some final meetings to government officials, because of course we want to look at some recommendations and where we want to go with some of the information that we gather together. The interesting thing about this course is that we do have an exchange. If our funding comes through, the public health, the medical doctor and the climate scientist from Mongolia, who our co-instructors, are going to come to Montana the next year in 2021, and we'll pull together some of this information that the whole group explored and kind of carried this whole topic forward. That's about it. If you have questions, Kathy's on board. Kathy, do you want to add anything? Kathy Whitlock.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah, so just listening to Sue gets me even more excited about this course, and it'll be my first experience going to Mongolia. As she said, I've worked on climate issues in Montana, which has a lot of similar landscapes, and we've looked at the influence of human health on how it relates to rising temperature and drought and floods and fire in Montana. So it's going to be really interesting, I think, to make those connections in Mongolia. I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you. And now we better move along to the next course. And staying in Montana, Betsy Common will speak on the Mongolian Buddhism, nature, and conservation.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I just want to introduce myself first. My PhD is in environmental history. So the way that we're going to be looking at this class is how do we see landscape through a religious belief? And I'm going to be working to look at the unique, Mongolian Buddhism is very unique. And we're going to look at why Mongolian Buddhism is unique. And we're going to be looking at history, geopolitics, and then talk about the unique Mongolian Buddhist conservation efforts that are going on. So that's what we're going to be talking about, as well as Dharma studies. And so we are going to do some real coursework in Buddhism. We're going to start out in Ulaanbaatar, and we are going to have a chance to work with my teacher. I became a Buddhist in Mongolia, and my teacher is at the Ganden monasteries, the Dalai Lama Bimba, and we are going to be meeting with him. He's going to be talking about his particular background in Mongolian Buddhism, the fact that he needed to practice it in secret until 1990 because it was illegal. And he's also going to be going through Dharma studies at that point. And so we're going to have an opportunity to hear from a High Lama about Mongolian Buddhism, which is going to be a really big treat, I think. And Ganden Monastery is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of the oldest monasteries in Mongolia, and it also was one of the few monasteries that wasn't destroyed during religious purges in the early 20th century. So, or I guess about 1930. And then from there, we are going to be going to Har Horum and visiting Erden Zoo, which is also a monastery that was not destroyed. And hopefully we'll have a chance to meet up with Sue Higgins and Kathy Whitlock and that course. And we're going to be talking about the way that Mongolian Buddhism, Har Horum was a capital of Mongolia at one point along the Silk Route. It was a very important meeting place, and we're going to be talking about the Silk Route and why the Silk Route was very important in terms of the spread of religion as well as commerce. And from there, we will go to we will go to Huskal province, which is where I've spent most of my time working in Mongolia. I ran an organization for a number of years working with Buddhist monks on conservation issues, and we're going to go and look at our project area as well as look at a monastery that we rebuilt that became a site of both religious dialogue and conservation education. And there we're going to be able to meet the head lama of the Dayandark Monastery, Sirman Ocher, and we're also going to be talking to Japsam Dolam, who is a shaman in the area, also a Buddhist, and we're going to talk about another thing that makes Mongolian Buddhism very unique. It's one of the reasons. It's also an issue with Tibetan Buddhism, but there's a mixture of shamanism and Buddhism that goes in. It's a syncretic effect of Buddhism in Mongolia, and so we're going to be able to talk about shamanism as well as Buddhism, and we are going to go visit a sacred cave that was the site of one of the stories about a shaman converting to Buddhism, and it's a legend that really explains why Mongolian Buddhism is so special and unique. And from there, we're also going to have a chance to do horseback riding and hiking and be in one of the most beautiful areas in the world And so I really want this experiencing nature to be a big part of this, because Buddhism has a lot to say about nature, and we are going to spend time doing walking meditation, as well as I said, Dharma studies. But we're also going to be looking at this very real effort on the part of the Buddhist community in Mongolia to look at particular conservation issues such as fisheries protection, water protection, and we'll talk about air pollution as well. And from there, we will go to the Amersfoort Galant, which is another monastery that was not destroyed. And we will have the opportunity to visit there and talk about some of the important figures that were there in terms of, there's one in particular who was the first Bodhan, and we will talk about the power structure of Mongolian Buddhists, and then we will talk about as well the geopolitics, which is how was Mongolia influenced by Russia, how was Mongolia influenced by China, what did that mean in terms of power, shifting borders, and religion. And then we'll go back and be in Ulaanbaatar and wrap up the course with everybody. I'm really looking forward to this. Mongolia is incredibly important to me. I have a ton of old friends who are going to be, joining in on the trip and sharing their experience. We're going to have a chance to spend time with nomadic families and be in contact with them, learn about their lives. Because one of the other things, and this comes to me as an environmental historian again, is how does an environment shape both culture and religious beliefs, and how it makes Mongolian Buddhism truly unique in the world. So thank you. I'm really looking forward to this.
Okay, thank you very much, Betsy. Now we have the Gobi Futures, and Lauren, I believe you're with us to speak about this course, which will be offered in session 2. Okay. Lauren and Gantuga are not available to talk with us, but the Gobi Futures will be visiting a number of sites in the Gobi, visiting several of the mining sites. We have a picture here of the Oyu Tolgoi, the Rio Tinto and Mongolian copper mine that's being developed in the Gobi, and as well the Tavan Tolgoi coal mine complex, which is the main coal mining area where the coal is being exported on thousands of dump trucks over to China. So this area is the source of the largest amount of mineral wealth in Mongolia and is rapidly growing. It's a very, very water scarce and resource scarce area, and yet it's had an influx of people, companies, influences through mining, which have really impacted the local people and herders who have been living there and adapting to the desert. Now there are questions about water and water rights, and water is the scarce resource in the area. So as mining takes more water, will there be water available for the local people, for their animals, for their use, their personal use, for the small towns that exist in the Gobi? And so we'll be looking at different aspects of development in this region, some of the conflicts between mining and rapid development and the environment, and some social issues in the region. So it offers a great chance to see this very, very important region near the Chinese border in far southern Mongolia, and sort of how it's transforming, and hear from the local people both the opportunities that resource development occurs and offers to people, while at the same time some of the challenges it creates as well. Okay, and the final course in session 2, Environment, Humans, and Mining in Northern Mongolia. And I know we have Marissa and Gantuga and I believe Rebecca with us, so I will turn it over to you guys to speak on your class.
Yeah, hi. I think I was going to take the lead on this, so I'm Marissa. Can people hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks. New laptop that I haven't used too much yet. Okay. Yeah, so I guess to just start off continuing sort of this theme of environment, obviously we have environment in the title. So this is an area of northern Mongolia that, is actually the sort of was industrialized much earlier in the 20th century. Um, I would say different compared to what other people have already been talking about in their courses is this is an area where like pollution is a concern. So, just straight up, there is a lot of water here in contrast to the Gobi. So yes, water pollution is a big issue. But also soil pollution, obviously, and air pollution. So in the middle there, we have a picture of Erdenet. Erdenet has a very large tailings pond, as it's called, and it's just basically a large deposit of dust that blows around not just the city, actually, but more these agricultural areas neighboring the city. So I guess I would say for us, also, we're going to be in an area of Mongolia that suffers a lot from wildfire issues. So it is a sort of taiga forested area, but also there's a lot of wheat agriculture there. So that is also an area that's impacted by fire. So if people are interested in that as a particular issue, that might be a draw for our course. So in terms of methodology, I'm also an anthropologist. Gantolga is a geologist, and Rebecca is a ecologist. So we have a range of disciplines, and I think we're going to kind of keep it flexible to see, who applies, but definitely encouraging people who are, hard science and engineering majors to apply, as well as people from more sort of humanistic and social sciences. We really, what we're planning is meeting with Mongolian professionals. What I think makes this distinctive is, a lot of programs that I've encountered, especially for, engineering students, is it's kind of this, we're going to go to this country that's like low and middle income, and we're going to like give them tools and techniques. In contrast, our program is, hey, Mongolians have been dealing with these issues of pollution and wildfire and so forth for a long time. What are their methods of dealing with these issues? It's going to be both kind of this sort of, not religion in the sense of, visiting monasteries and stuff, but yeah, like sort of traditional practices and ideas around these issues, but also, scientific and engineering practices around them, and sort of exploring that area. Also, this is like an area of Mongolia that a lot of tourists don't really visit, but it's beautiful. Taiga. There was actually like a History Channel TV show a couple of years ago that was completely based out of this area. So it's really beautiful, if you want to look that up. And for the first part of the course, we want to be based at we're planning to be based at a Ger camp. And so that will, provide a lot of opportunities for people to do some, hiking and walking and horseback riding and so forth. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. I don't know if Rebecca or Gantolga were wanting to add anything.
Yeah, that's a very good introduction. Yeah. Rebecca, you have something to say?
Well, just briefly, I just wanted to say to you that my personal area of interest, in addition to wildlife, of course, is this sort of cultural perceptions of mountains and landscape too. So that's something that, again, as Marissa said, I think we're going to be flexible in our approach, but that's something that if people are interested in, I would love to explore further as we talk to people. And I'm going to sign off now because I'm actually a little sick and having difficulty talking, but thank you for for attending.
Mhm.
Yes, so this is going to be in a very important range of mountains. So just west of the Henti Mountains, which of course the Henti Mountains are where Genghis Khan is from. So yes, mountains are an important theme in several ways.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Those are the sort of overview of the different courses. anyone that has questions, you can follow up. We have the chat area, and there will be responses there. And as well, you can just email to us. We can connect you with the instructors in the program. We're happy to, if you have any direct questions or you want to connect, whether it's for the field school or just an interest in terms of the type of research and the type of opportunities that may be available. All of our instructors have a great deal of experience working in Mongolia in different contexts, in different areas and different contexts, and the American Center for Mongolian Studies as well. So please email us, connect with us. We have our website, we have the information on the field school. Please pass along the information on the field school to others. And we have a wide range of social media that the field school and ACMS are producing. As I say, we will have discussion groups and active participant areas as we lead up to the field school. And we also have our ACMS information. We have our lecture series, Facebook and YouTube channels. You can see past lecturers. Several of our instructors have given lectures at the ACMS, and their talks are available recorded on YouTube. And we do our monthly newsletter, so please let us know and we can add you to the newsletter mailing list. So happy to answer any questions that people have, provide additional information. We will make this recording and the slides available to people through the website. And please, if you know anyone who may be interested, refer them. They can come and watch some or all of the presentation, learn about some of the courses that they're interested in. So,
Charles, there are a couple of questions coming in on the chat. I know that you said you weren't able to see those because of the presentation.
yes.
So if you want to look at those, or I can read them.
Yeah, I have to bring the presentation down. Okay, you can read. Yeah.
Let's see. So someone is asking, they're a little confused about the rolling acceptance and the mid-February to mid-March dates. Can you please clarify when people will know about acceptance and fellowships?
Yeah, so we will, as you apply, we will be letting you know on your acceptance to the program. We're trying to turn those around fairly quickly after people have applied to the program. So we will definitely let you know on your acceptance. What I meant by the mid-February, so we have this March 1st deadline that everyone is going to, that we're going to consider with our final pool of fellowship funding. And we will notify people by March 15th about the fellowship availability. So you may hear, as I say, you may hear about your acceptance to the program before you hear the final information about the fellowship availability. So, I mean, it's similar to applications to other processes as well. Not everyone who is accepted will receive a fellowship, but we hope to give as many fellowships as possible to people who have applied by that March 1st deadline. I hope that clarifies. And if you have a particular situation, as I say, you need some confirmation, just let us know, and we will be sure to get back with you and to work with you on your particular situation. Yes.
Okay. Someone else has asked, when applications are sent in, is there confirmation of receipt? I believe there should be an automated confirmation. Maybe some other folks on here that have applied can confirm that should be happening.
So I think as well, the ACMS staff can monitor that and let confirm that people have received the information.
We were personally answering the confirmation of receipt. I think Marisa sent the answers like, thank you for applying, and we received your application personally. But we don't know if there's automated response to that.
Yeah, I don't believe an automated response is given. I think that it would require that the ACMS personnel to follow up to say that all the documents have been received. Yes. So people are not receiving confirmation, so we should follow up on that. And ACMS
Yeah.
staff can look over and should email each person who has applied and confirm that their documents have been received, and if anything is missing, to let them know. Okay. So yes, we will work on that and be back in touch. And then yes, we are encouraging the instructors to so that should hear your official confirmation from the ACMS office in terms of your acceptance, and then in terms of the instructors will also potentially be getting back in touch with applicants just to connect directly and see if you have any questions.
That's it for the questions so far in the chat.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad everyone was able to participate. I think what we'll do here is stop the recording so that it doesn't go on too long. If you have any other questions, as I say, you can follow up. You can continue to ask on the chat, or you can follow up